Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. To preface this video, I want to state again, I'm an American attorney. I'm a naturalized Thai citizen, but I'm an American attorney, the managing director of this firm. I've had the Thai attorneys have a look at this video before putting it out, and really, actually, this is kind of one of the more innocuous ones. I'm just talking about Thai law sort of in a general sense. In fact, this is kind of a comparative law video, if you will. In a recent video, we did a recent video on filming people in Thailand without consent, where I cited some legal provisions here in Thailand that could have a bearing on a possible court analysis with respect to folks that film people without consent here in Thailand. But I got some comments, and I noticed that there was a theme in the comments. There were two of them specifically where there was this theme that I decided to make this video on. So, quoting directly, and this, I'm not talking about their opinions on that video at all. It's just this discussion of Thai law versus common law. Quoting directly, I hope the case law in Thailand has fleshed out what the actual application of that vagary should be. And by vagary, I think they meant vagueness, but it's vague, V-A-G-U-E, and then they put an R-Y at the end. I think they meant vagueness. Yeah, a lot of statutory law can be vague because it's sort of written broadly. It's not particularly written for, you know, John Smith. He's walking down the street. If he trips over a curb, you know, that's a tort or something. That's not how it works. It just, they try to write it to be both broad as well as not overbroad, which is an issue in law where, you know, something is almost, it's like it's drafted to just pull in everybody, even those who are innocent of any violation. But so he's again, to go back with this, I hope the case law in Thailand has fleshed out what the actual application of that vagary, I think they meant vagueness, should be. Okay. Then another comment on that same video said, in my country, it is clearly defined from precedent, and it is your right to do it. So again, not getting into the back and forth. That's not my purpose in making this video. But we have two notions here, case law and precedent. Those are common law notions. Stare decisis, or let the decision stand, as it means in Latin in the legal context. Stare decisis and precedent, those are fundamental core concepts of the common law. And that may be the United States, the UK, the Commonwealth countries. So-called Westminster law utilizes precedent, also known as case law. That's decisions from court cases made over time. I remember contracts law, Hadley versus Baxendale, you know, this hundreds of year old case and how it pertains to remote consequential damages in U.S. contract law. Even though it's been over for hundreds of years, through the doctrine of stare decisis, precedent or case law, that case still has bearing over modern cases in a common law system. Precedent doesn't work that way in Thailand. In fact, precedent doesn't work at all in Thailand. Prior cases, especially at the Supreme Court level, may color and nuance analysis of cases in the future, but it is not binding in the same way that stare decisis can be. Now, in American jurisprudence, especially at the Supreme Court level, stare decisis can be overcome, but at lower courts, very uncommon. Now, again, you know, the Thai courts, they tend to take into account, especially prior Supreme Court decisions, maybe. But if they're fundamentally distinguished, not so much. And it's not this binding concept, you know, binding's the wrong word. It's not this overwhelming concept, this very ubiquitous concept that we have in the Western, specifically the common law tradition, that prior case law is going to be determinative. No, it's frankly not. And really in, you know, minor cases where, you know, it's not some major point of law that needs to be sussed out. No, it tends to be resolved case by case. And there's no case recordation in the same way that there is, you know, shepherdizing, etc. in the U.S., for example, where, you know, you have these records of this precedent that's been set. It does not work the same way here in Thailand. As we've noted in other videos on this channel, Thailand does not utilize precedent that way. Again, it may have bearing in a kind of an indirect sense insofar as a future court may read that opinion to gain some insight, but you cannot view it as shaping or molding Thai law as time rolls on. It's not how it works, and you should just be aware of that. And foreigners that are here, it was difficult for me. It took me years to fully understand what it means to not utilize precedent the way that we do in the common law. It took a long time. Now, arguably, I was more indoctrinated to it, but I noticed lay folks just make these presumptions, and these are presumptions that are not a good idea to make because you're making presumptions on things that basically just don't operate that way here in Thailand.